The sky above the planet Zephyria was a soft shade of violet, streaked with ribbons of emerald clouds. The twin suns of the system hung low, casting long, shimmering reflections across the floating cities. Zephyria was unlike any planet humans had visited before. Its cities were built on massive anti-gravity platforms, hovering above oceans that seemed to glow from some natural energy. Tall, crystalline towers rose from the platforms, twisting like frozen waterfalls. The alien inhabitants, known as the Xerians, moved gracefully across their bridges and platforms, their forms elegant and slightly luminescent. Among them was a young Xerian girl named Lyra. Her curiosity had always set her apart from her peers. While other young Xerians practiced the precise arts of energy manipulation and engineering, Lyra preferred wandering through the platforms, exploring the airways and bridges, and observing the strange visitors from distant stars. Today, she had been chosen to escort the human research team through one of the largest floating cities. The humans arrived in their shuttle, its polished metal gleaming under Zephyria's twin suns. It was small by human standards, but massive when compared to Xerian vessels. Lyra had heard about humans from her instructors. They were said to be bold, unpredictable, and in some ways surprisingly clever. Still, no amount of description had prepared her for seeing one up close. The shuttle doors hissed open, revealing a team of 4 humans. Leading them was Captain Elias, a tall man with broad shoulders and eyes that seemed to study everything at once. Behind him were 2 engineers and a biologist, each carrying devices that Lyra could not even begin to imagine. They moved with a mix of precision and casual confidence, a combination unfamiliar to Lyra. "Greetings, young Xerian," Captain Elias said politely, bowing slightly. Lyra returned the gesture with the customary Xerian tilt of her head. "Welcome to the city of Luminara," she said, her voice melodic. "I will show you the areas your species may study safely. Our energy fields are delicate. Please do not touch anything without guidance." Elias smiled. "Of course, we'll follow your lead." Lyra led them through winding bridges and transparent platforms. The humans marveled at everything: the shimmering oceans, the floating towers, the alien machines that hummed with energy she could not fully explain. Lyra explained each feature, her pride in her home world clear in her tone. Finally, they reached a large hall at the center of the city. It was open to the sky, and the view of the twin suns was breathtaking. In the center of the hall stood a massive console of controls. Humans would have called it a command panel, though it was far more intricate than any human device. Lyra had been trained to use it from a young age, but she had never seen a human examine it so closely. Captain Elias stepped forward, his eyes widening slightly. "This is incredible," he murmured. He placed his hands on the panel, feeling the flow of energy beneath his fingers. Lyra watched carefully. Humans were said to be clever, but she wondered if they could truly understand the scale of Xerian technology. One human engineer, a woman named Dr. Mara, tapped lightly on the controls. The panel lit up, responding to her touch. Lyra gasped quietly. Humans were activating devices with such ease, using intuition rather than training or calculation. It was unlike any Xerian method she had ever seen. Unable to contain herself, Lyra stepped closer. She reached out, touching one of the energy conduits that led from the console to the floating platforms. As her fingers brushed the surface, she felt a surge not dangerous but immense. Her eyes widened and she stepped back, exclaiming, "Human, it's too big." Elias turned, puzzled, and saw her gaze fixed on the conduit. "Too big?" he asked gently. "Yes," Lyra said, her voice trembling slightly. "Your mind, your energy, it is more than I imagined. The way you touch the panel, it feels enormous." Elias smiled. "We are just humans. We try to solve problems with what we know, with what we can imagine." Lyra studied him. "But your imagination, it is limitless. You do not follow rules like we do. You see possibilities where we see only structure." Elias chuckled. "Perhaps, or maybe we are just lucky in how we think." The humans spent the next hour exploring the hall. They asked questions about Xerian energy distribution, about how the platforms stayed afloat, about the limits of Xerian engineering. Lyra answered as best she could, but she noticed something strange. The humans were not intimidated by the size or complexity of the technology. Instead, they were inspired. "They do not fear failure," she whispered to herself. "They do not see limits in the same way we do." At one point, Elias bent down to examine a small device that controlled one of the anti-gravity platforms. It was delicate, nearly invisible to the untrained eye. Lyra had been taught that such devices could only be touched with precision instruments. Yet Elias carefully held it, turning it this way and that, smiling as he tested its function. The platform adjusted almost immediately, stabilizing perfectly. Lyra gasped. How can you do that?" she asked. Elias shrugged. "We try, we adjust, and if it fails, we try again. Sometimes that's the only way to understand." Lyra's mind raced. The Xerians prized precision above all else. Their methods relied on calculation and careful planning. Humans relied on instinct, courage, and adaptability. The thought both thrilled and terrified her. As the humans continued their tour, Lyra guided them through a chamber filled with energy conduits that hummed like living creatures. She had practiced every step of this route thousands of times, but now she found herself distracted, watching the humans adapt to every new challenge effortlessly. Dr. Mara accidentally pressed a control she should not have. The energy field around one platform fluctuated dangerously. Lyra froze, expecting disaster, but Elias reacted instantly. He pressed a sequence of controls she had never seen, and the platform stabilized, shaking slightly but holding firm. Lyra's eyes widened. You saved it," she breathed. I cannot believe it." Elias looked at her calmly. "Sometimes you must act before you fully understand. That is how humans work." Lyra stared at him, a mixture of fear and admiration swirling in her mind. Humans were strange, unpredictable, and bold beyond anything she had imagined. By the end of the tour, Lyra had shown the humans everything from the floating gardens to the observation decks. She had explained how energy flowed, how the platforms maintained balance, and how the city's defenses worked. But her mind was still spinning with one thought. Humans did not see limits as Xerians did. When the humans prepared to leave, Elias turned to her. "You have been a wonderful guide, Lyra. Your knowledge is impressive. I hope we can learn more from each other." Lyra nodded, her heart pounding. I hope so too. Humans, you are bigger than I imagined." Elias smiled, patting her shoulder lightly. "Big in mind, perhaps. But we are all capable of more than we realize." As the shuttle lifted off, Lyra watched it rise into the sky. She could still feel the echo of human energy in the panel, a reminder of something larger than herself. She knew this was only the beginning. The humans had shown her a different kind of power, one not measured in energy or precision, but in courage, creativity, and spirit. That night, Lyra returned to her small dwelling on a platform above the glowing oceans. She stared out at the city, thinking about the humans. They had come as visitors, but they had left a mark on her. She could not stop repeating the words she had spoken earlier, almost in disbelief. "Human, it's too big." It was not just the machines, it was the people themselves. And for the first time, Lyra wondered what it might mean to grow beyond the boundaries of her training, to see the world with human eyes. The twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the floating city. Lyra felt a mix of fear and excitement. Tomorrow, the humans would continue their exploration, and she would accompany them again. But tonight, she dreamed of impossible things, inspired by visitors who were bold, clever, and, somehow, too big to ignore. The next morning, the skies of Zephyria were streaked with gold and purple as the twin suns rose over the floating city of Luminara. The air was crisp, carrying the faint hum of the city's energy fields. Lyra woke early, her thoughts still filled with the humans' arrival. She could not stop thinking about what Captain Elias had said. Humans act before they fully understand. It was unlike anything she had learned in her careful, calculated Xerian training. She made her way across the suspended bridges toward the central hall. Today, the humans would explore the city's energy grids, which controlled the balance of the floating platforms. The grids were enormous, complex systems of conduits and nodes that transferred energy throughout the city. For Xerians, even a small mistake could cause a catastrophic failure. When Lyra arrived, the humans were already waiting. Captain Elias smiled at her. "Good morning, Lyra. Are you ready for another day?" Lyra nodded, though her stomach fluttered with anxiety. She had a feeling that today would not be ordinary. "Yes, but please be careful," she said, motioning toward the grids. Elias chuckled. "We always are, but thank you for worrying." They moved toward the main energy chamber. Lyra led the humans through a maze of platforms and conduits, explaining each step carefully. She was proud of her knowledge, but nervous. Something about the grids felt tense today. She could feel the faint vibrations in the energy nodes, a subtle warning that the system was not as stable as usual. As they approached the central platform, a sudden surge of energy ran through the grids. Lights flickered, and one of the platforms trembled dangerously. Lyra froze, her antennae bristling in alarm. "Something is wrong," she shouted. "The energy surge, it's unstable." The humans reacted immediately. Captain Elias moved toward the console, his eyes scanning the streams of data. "Stay back, Lyra, let us handle this," he said calmly. Lyra watched, her heart pounding. The humans moved with confidence, tapping, pressing, and turning controls that she had been trained to operate with extreme care. Unlike Xerians, they did not hesitate or overthink. They adjusted, experimented, and improvised. The surge intensified and a large platform shook violently. Lyra gasped. In her training, even a minor mistake could have caused a collapse, but the humans did not panic. "Doctor." Mara quickly assessed the nodes and guided a human engineer to reroute the energy through alternate conduits. Captain Elias operated a sequence of controls that Lyra had never seen before. The platform stabilized, though it still trembled slightly. Lyra was astonished. You saved it again?" she whispered. Elias glanced at her. "We adapt. That is what humans do." Lyra had always believed that precision and calculation were the highest virtues. Now she realized that humans had a different strength. They could think quickly, act boldly, and use creativity to solve problems when the rules failed. "Can I help?" she asked hesitantly. She wanted to do more than watch. Elias considered her. "Yes, but follow my instructions carefully. Observe, then act. Together, we can stabilize the rest of the grid." Lyra nodded eagerly. She approached a smaller energy conduit and watched Elias demonstrate a technique for diverting the surge. Unlike the careful, rigid methods Xerians used, this approach relied on intuition and quick thinking. Lyra copied his movements, and to her surprise, it worked. The energy flowed smoothly, and the platform stabilized further. "You did well," Elias said, giving her a reassuring smile. "Sometimes the key is to try even if you're unsure. Humans learn by doing." Lyra's mind raced. Could Xerians learn from humans in the same way humans learned from them? The thought was thrilling. She had spent years studying energy grids, but these humans were teaching her something entirely new: how to be flexible, how to trust instincts, how to act without fear. The surge finally subsided, leaving the city humming normally once again. Lyra breathed a sigh of relief. She had never felt anything like the adrenaline of that moment. She looked at the humans with admiration. You are incredible. I have never seen anyone act so boldly." Elias shook his head. "We are not incredible, Lyra. We are just human. We make mistakes, we learn, and we keep going. That is our strength." Lyra considered his words. It was not the machines that made the humans remarkable. It was their spirit. Their minds were daring, their courage limitless, and their creativity unmatched. The humans spent the next hour examining the energy grids, teaching Lyra small techniques that combined her Xerian knowledge with human improvisation. She learned to anticipate surges, to redirect energy with confidence, and to adapt when something went wrong. It was exhausting but exhilarating. Suddenly, an alarm sounded. A distant platform began to shake violently. Lyra's heart skipped a beat. The humans rushed to the observation console. Captain Elias quickly assessed the situation. "This surge is spreading faster than before. If we do not act immediately, the platform could collapse." Lyra stepped forward, determination in her eyes. "Let me help." "I know the conduits. Give me instructions." Elias nodded. "We will guide you. Together we can handle this." Working as a team, the humans and Lyra moved through the conduits, adjusting energy flows, rerouting power, and stabilizing nodes. Lyra followed Elias' instructions carefully, applying the new techniques she had learned. The humans relied on creativity and quick thinking, while Lyra contributed her precise knowledge of the Xerian systems. Minutes passed like hours, but finally the platform tremors subsided. The energy flowed evenly once more, and the city's hum returned to its calm rhythm. Lyra collapsed onto the platform, exhausted but exhilarated. She had never worked so hard or felt so alive. "You did it," Elias said, helping her to her feet. "All of us together, that is the human way, and now you know it too." Lyra looked at him, her mind racing. I never realized humans are bigger than I imagined, not just in body, but in mind and spirit." "You do not fear challenges, you face them." Elias smiled gently. "Yes, we face them. That is what makes us strong, and sometimes we learn from others along the way." Lyra nodded. She felt a sense of pride not just in herself, but in the humans she had come to admire. They were bold, fearless, and clever in ways Xerians could not always understand. As the humans prepared to leave the energy chamber, Lyra followed them, eager to learn more. She asked questions, observed their techniques, and practiced the improvisations they had shown her. With every step, she felt her understanding of the world expand. Humans were not just visitors, they were teachers, showing her a new way to see, think, and act. By the afternoon, the city's energy systems were fully stabilized. The humans and Lyra took a moment to rest on a platform overlooking the glowing oceans. The twin suns reflected off the water, casting long, golden streaks across the sky. Lyra felt a sense of wonder and gratitude. "You have taught me more in one day than I could have imagined," she said softly. "I want to learn more from humans. Your ways, they are different, but I can see now they are powerful." Elias nodded. "And we want to learn from you, Lyra. Your knowledge of Zephyria is invaluable. Together, we can achieve things neither of our species could alone." As the sun dipped toward the horizon, the humans prepared to explore a new area of the city, a research zone that had never been visited by outsiders. Lyra's excitement mixed with nervousness. She did not know what challenges awaited them, but she trusted the humans now. Their courage, ingenuity, and adaptability had shown her a new way of thinking, one that went beyond precision and calculation. That evening, as Lyra returned to her dwelling above the glowing oceans, she reflected on the day's events. The surge had been dangerous, but it had also been a lesson. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but that unpredictability was their strength. They faced challenges head-on, trusted their instincts, and adapted when the rules failed. Lyra stared out at the horizon, her thoughts filled with possibilities. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, and the humans would be there to face them. She was ready now not just as a guide, but as a partner, eager to learn, experiment, and grow. She whispered to herself, a smile forming on her lips. "Humans, you are too big in every way that matters." The twin suns set, casting the city in a soft glow. Lyra's heart raced with excitement and anticipation. She could not wait to see what the humans would do next, and how they would continue to show her the true meaning of courage, creativity, and spirit. For the first time in her life, Lyra understood that there was more to strength than precision or planning. There was bravery, there was imagination, and above all, there was the human way, bold, fearless, and limitless. And tomorrow, she would see it again. The morning sky over Zephyria was painted with soft hues of gold and violet, the twin suns rising above the floating city of Luminara. Lyra could feel the excitement in the air. Today, the humans had planned a journey beyond the city, to a remote and unexplored region of the planet. The mission was to study a rare energy source rumored to exist in a series of volatile caves, deep in a mountain range that floated above the northern ocean. Lyra had been chosen to accompany them. She felt both nervous and thrilled. The humans had already shown her a new way to see the world, a way that combined courage, adaptability, and creativity. She was eager to learn more and perhaps to prove herself alongside them. Captain Elias led the team, as always calm and observant. Dr. Mara carried specialized scanning equipment, and another engineer, Jonas, followed closely behind. Lyra led them across the bridges and down to the edge of the city, where a human transport hovered, its engines quiet but powerful. "Are you ready, Lyra?" Elias asked, smiling. Lyra nodded. "Yes, let's see what lies beyond the city." The transport lifted off smoothly, moving over the sparkling oceans and toward the distant mountains. The twin suns reflected off the water, creating a kaleidoscope of colors below. Lyra marveled at the sight, feeling a mixture of fear and awe. Humans, she thought, truly saw the world differently. They were not confined by caution or strict rules. They moved forward, ready to face whatever came next. After a long flight, they reached the edge of the mountain range. Jagged peaks rose sharply, floating above the ocean like enormous crystals. Strange energy pulses flickered along the rocks, and the human scanners detected fluctuations that Lyra could barely sense. "This is it," Elias said. "The caves are just beyond these cliffs. We need to be careful. This energy is unstable." Lyra led the way down narrow ridges, carefully navigating the floating rocks. The humans followed closely, their movements confident even on the unstable terrain. Lyra was amazed at how easily they adapted to each challenge. Where she would have paused and calculated every step, they moved intuitively, adjusting as they went. Finally, they reached the entrance to the caves. A low hum of energy filled the air, vibrating through the rocks. Lyra felt it deep in her chest, a power unlike anything she had ever encountered. The humans stepped forward without hesitation, their eyes shining with curiosity rather than fear. As they entered the caves, the walls glowed faintly with the energy that powered the mountain. The passages twisted and narrowed, and sudden drops appeared without warning. Lyra's heart pounded, but she kept moving, following the humans' lead. They seemed fearless, moving with confidence even in places that would have made any Xerian pause. Suddenly, the floor beneath them shook violently. A section of rock gave way, sending a cascade of stones tumbling down a chasm. Lyra gasped and nearly fell, but Captain Elias caught her arm. "Stay calm," he said. "We can handle this." The humans worked quickly, setting up temporary supports and rerouting their path. Lyra followed instructions, helping as best she could. She realized that while the humans relied on intuition and adaptability, they also worked together, combining their strengths to solve problems. She had never seen teamwork like this before. Deeper into the cave, the energy grew stronger. Strange crystalline formations pulsed with light, and the air vibrated with power. Dr. Mara scanned the crystals, while Elias studied their structure. Jonas adjusted instruments to measure energy flows. Lyra watched, fascinated by the humans' ability to analyze, improvise, and act all at the same time. Suddenly, the cave trembled violently. A section of the ceiling began to collapse. Lyra froze in fear, but Elias grabbed her hand. "Move with us, Lyra. Trust what you've learned." They ran, dodging falling rocks and leaping over energy fissures. The humans adjusted constantly, improvising paths, using their tools to stabilize rocks and guiding Lyra through the chaos. The tremors grew stronger, and a massive boulder blocked their way. "Stay calm," Elias said. "We can move it." Lyra's heart raced. She had never seen humans face danger so calmly, so decisively. Elias and Jonas used a combination of levers and energy tools to shift the boulder. It moved slowly, threatening to topple at any moment, but they kept adjusting, never giving up. Finally, with one last push, the boulder slid aside, clearing the path. Lyra's breath came in gasps, but she felt exhilarated. She looked at the humans, her eyes wide with awe. You are incredible. How do you do this?" Elias smiled. "We face what comes. We do not wait for perfect conditions. We act, we adapt, and we never give up. That is the human way." The team continued deeper into the cave. The energy crystals grew larger and brighter, and the air was charged with power. Dr. Mara carefully extracted samples while Elias and Jonas monitored stability. Lyra assisted, applying both Xerian knowledge and the improvisation she had learned from the humans. Together, they worked efficiently, their combined efforts stabilizing the cavern even as it pulsed with unpredictable energy. Suddenly, the ground beneath them shook again, and a fissure opened near the samples. The humans acted instantly. Elias directed Lyra to anchor a support beam while Jonas recalibrated a stabilizing device. Dr. Mara secured the crystals. Within minutes, the fissure was contained. Lyra's mind raced. Xerians were trained to avoid mistakes, but humans thrived in uncertainty. Their strength was not in avoiding danger. It was in confronting it, adapting, and finding solutions. She felt admiration growing within her, stronger than anything she had known. Finally, they reached the heart of the cave. A massive crystal, glowing with intense energy, stood at the center. The humans approached it carefully, scanning and studying it. Lyra could feel the energy radiating from it, and she knew it was dangerous if handled incorrectly. Elias examined the crystal, his eyes thoughtful. "This is remarkable. Its energy is beyond anything we've encountered, yet with careful handling, it can be studied safely." Lyra stepped forward. "I can help. I know how to channel this energy safely." Working together, the team stabilized the crystal's energy. Lyra applied Xerian methods, while Elias and the humans improvised solutions for any unexpected fluctuations. Slowly, the energy became controlled, its pulses regular and safe. Lyra looked at the humans, her heart swelling with admiration. They were not just clever, they were brave, creative, and fearless. They had faced dangers she could not have imagined, and they had triumphed. "Humans, you truly are too big," she whispered, almost to herself. "Not in size, but in spirit." Elias smiled. "And you, Lyra, are learning the human way. Courage, creativity, and adaptability can achieve what strict rules alone cannot." The team spent the rest of the day studying the crystal. Lyra felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. She had learned so much from the humans, not just about problem-solving, but about courage, teamwork, and thinking beyond limits. As they left the cave, the sun was setting over the floating mountains. The sky was a brilliant tapestry of violet and gold, the ocean reflecting the colors below. Lyra watched the humans board their transport, feeling a mixture of awe and gratitude. "You have shown me a new way to see the world," she said softly. "A way beyond rules and calculations, a way of courage and creativity." Elias placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "And you have shown us the value of your knowledge, Lyra. Together, we can face any challenge." As the transport lifted off, Lyra looked down at the glowing oceans and the floating mountains. She felt a sense of wonder, knowing that the world was larger and more incredible than she had ever imagined. Humans had shown her that strength was not just in skill or precision. It was in courage, imagination, and the willingness to act. Back in Luminara, Lyra returned to her dwelling above the city. She looked out over the glowing platforms and the twin suns sinking below the horizon. Her mind was alive with thoughts of the humans and the lessons she had learned. For the first time, she understood what she had felt when she first touched the human control panel. Human, it's too big. It was not the size of their hands or their machines that amazed her. It was the vastness of their spirit, the boundless reach of their courage, and the brilliance of their imagination. Humans could face danger without fear, think beyond limits, and work together to achieve the impossible. Lyra smiled to herself, a sense of hope filling her heart. She knew that the humans were more than visitors. They were friends, teachers, and examples of what courage and creativity could accomplish. The twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting the city in a gentle glow. Lyra felt ready for whatever challenges tomorrow might bring, confident that she could face them, inspired by the humans who had taught her the true meaning of strength. And somewhere deep inside, she whispered again, "Too big in every way that matters." For Lyra, the world had grown larger, brighter, and more exciting than ever. And she knew that the humans, with their endless courage and ingenuity, had changed her life forever.